good morning, and good morning. Oh my goodness, so much has happened in a couple of days. One of the things that's interesting this morning is that Facebook has this agreement with other platforms, of which I speak from. I'm on StreamYard. And StreamYard, when I went to it this morning, says that Facebook has now said that unless you have at a minimum of 100 followers, you cannot stream to their website live anymore. So thank you. Thank you for all those who might be watching my videos. Thank you so much. I have 4,000, I think, I don't know, maybe 4,100 followers. So I'm at peace with that. But it just seems like the playing fields will always continue to change. So one day I'll probably find out that 4,000 isn't enough and 5,000 isn't enough as people become more aware of their ability to form content. Then it will be made just differently available to those who can either measure up with the number of followers or pay. Let's face it, we're in a paying society. But anyway, I hope you had a last couple of days that were really good. I have been real busy trying to, wind down my presidency for my Rotary Club, and I'm doing that. I'm in the process of doing that. But I'm also, I still be past president for a year on the board. And so, I still get to see the process that's working that I started or I interjected into, and we'll see where we go. But anyway, this morning we're going to talk about the word I do. And I got to thinking, I said, I have to bid my board, and I do. And I said, well, you could say goodbye. And I said, well, goodbye is boring. And then I read someplace on what I'm going to say here in a minute, and it says that bye, to just say goodbye might be boring. But I said, well, wonder where the word came from. So, why would people use I do? Well, we kind of stole the word because it has an origin that is not in the English background. It's more or less, it's a French word that says, see you later, great knowing you, have to go. Maybe I'll call, maybe I'll write, maybe I'll text, but it is definitely see you later. It's a goodbye. And so it says I do is a literal translation of the word I do, which is A and then DIEU, but the spelling may be differently depending on if it's coming from the English, European English, or if it's coming from American English, or obviously if it's French. But it says adieu is a French word meaning goodbye that is commonly used in English, especially in the phrase I bid you and I do. And it says adieu is one of those borrowed foreign words we've tried to make our own, have we not? And it says, but why would someone say I do instead of goodbye? Maybe they're trying to be funny with an overly formal way of saying goodbye, see you later, or whatever. It says maybe they're trying to spice up their vocabulary. That's what I like to do. I like to say that I'm spicing up someone's vocabulary, my own or someone else's, just give them the word. It says, or maybe they're quoting that song from The Sound of Music, I do, to you and you. Saying plain old goodbye can be boring, so next time try saying something like adieu, adios, sayonara, Wiedersehen. Wiedersehen. I always liked the word Wiedersehen, even though I'm not German, but I always liked it. I always thought it was pretty cool to say that. And it says, but sorrow really comes from parting. Most of the time it says that we remember Shakespeare using it. And parting is such sweet sorrow is the off reference quoted from William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. And it says that's in the balcony scene. And, let's face it, every, body wants to have a balcony scene in their life, even if they've never read Even if they've never read Romeo and Juliet, Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, but they certainly like somebody saying, and I send you my love, da 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 da, whatever. But it says it is a balcony scene. Juliet says she dreads being parted apart from her love. That's her sorrow. And sometimes that's our sorrow when we lose, a loved one, a dog, we lose, a cat. I remember my daughter, my daughter's fish died, and I'll always remember, giving it a funeral. I don't know if she remembers it, but I remember because she was like real young, maybe 4, and we gave the fish a funeral. It was a goldfish, and those goldfish that they have out at the fair. That's where we got it from. Do they last? No. So we had the little container for it to be swimming in, and we had the food and everything. We think we overfed it. That's what we think. But ultimately it did pass on. And we said, well, we have to give it a water burial. And that's what we did. We gave it a water burial. We put it down in there, and we said our little prayer for it to go on and swim. I remember telling, and you'll swim on forever. But anyway, that's a silly mom just trying to make sense that my daughter came to me talking about it's gone. It's gone. It had turned up. It had turned up in the bowl. But anyway, we just want to really talk about the word "adieu," just to say, another form of goodbye. And it says, but and I got that information from the nxbank.com website, just looking up words this morning. So how are you? How do you say "adieu"? How do you say goodbye to people? Do you cry? Do you hug them? Do you mourn, their absence, or their intending absence or impending absence? What do you do? What do you do? For myself, I've probably done it all. I remember the last time, seeing my mother, that I really remember her being able to talk, and she always cussed. So, she was always memorable. Always memorable. So I remember that. But, I also remember friends and leaving college and leaving home, and I remember after I married, leaving the United States. And, there's so many people that had come to make sure they said their adieus to me. And I just remember just crying all through the room as I'm saying goodbye, because I knew I was leaving the country. And then I cried on my way back because I had met new people to, say goodbye to say my adieus to. So adieu is kind of rough on us sometimes. Sometimes it may be the happiest adieu you've ever given when you're able to say adieu to an old job you don't want and all the people that are there. That's a good adieu. Or it may be adieu to get rid of somebody that's been a horrible friend, or or a terrible love interest. You just realize that those things need to stop, and so you say, look, out of here, got to go, laissez-faire, see you later. So adieu, and it says, is a sense, it is a goodbye, it is a parting, it's a farewell, where we say farewell to people. It's a leave taking opportunity. It's gone, I'm out of here. And it says it's a valediction. It's a congé, which is also, the word for goodbye. And it's also, and I'm going to see if I say this right, a which is another form of goodbye. And I think that's New Zealand. That's from New Zealand. Oh, good morning. Good morning. You tell that you love them and thank them for being a part of your life. Good morning, Dr. Winnie. Good morning. Good morning, Ardelia. How are you? It's always good to have you in here. And that is true. You say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, but when it's time to say goodbye, I do. See you later. No, as they say, no hard feelings. I will see you soon. But when we break the word down, and that's why I asked you, do you ever get stuck with saying goodbye to people or I do to people? And sometimes you do. Sometimes you do. So my first word that I have for my A is au revoir. Au revoir is also French, and it is a form of expression. Hey Cheryl, peace out. Goodbye. I know. We say hello and goodbye to each other all week long, between choir rehearsal and church or women's groups or whatever we have going. We say hello and goodbye all the time. And even when I come in every morning, I say hello. And at the end of my sessions, every time I do one, I say goodbye. And it is like a peace out, see you later. But goodbye in French is also au revoir, an expression of good vibes. It says usually when somebody says au revoir, it sounds kind of catchy, kind of I would say avant-garde, today. I love it. I love that word. And it says when someone leaves, it says a goodbye until we meet again. So that au revoir is kind of like the romantic good way to say goodbye. But we know other ways. We certainly do. So anyway, so au revoir also has synonyms that say congé, goodbye, Godspeed, leave taking, send off, and in Italian, where I lived for 4 years, ciao. And then you can usually use the person's name. You could say ciao bello, ciao bella, ciao bello, whatever, Ciao ma familia, which is ciao family, bye family, all those things, to just make it, because to me that's the happier way of saying it. Sometimes we can say goodbye. Okay, that has a different kind of a different kind of feeling to it when you say goodbye with an attitude. But these goodbyes, like the adieu and maybe au revoir, sound like they could be friendly, could be loving, could be I'm really going to miss you statements. I'm really going to miss you. So if you were to put an A down, what would you put down for your A? And you don't have to, because I know that sometimes I give difficult words and there's not a lot of synonyms, but you can also make it relative by saying, you may want to think of it as a way of another form of expression or another lead in or lead out. You don't have to make it where it's constantly the same vein that I'm in, but I probably got up all the words that I thought were practical and fitting. But you can certainly use another word for that. But adieu also says there is a departure. Somebody's leaving. Either you are leaving or someone else is leaving. So that's what the departure is. And a departure, it says, is an act of departure. It's going. It could be quitting something. It could be parting, decamping, meaning I pull up stakes. I'm out of here. Okay. Goodbye. It says it could be the farewell, the walking out. How many of us have seen movies where, it shows, somebody walking out. I can't imagine Clark Gable in Gone with the Wind without saying, Scarlett, I don't give a gone. He added other words to it, but still, it was a goodbye. It wasn't I do. I'm gone. It wasn't probably as what she expected, because she was in there still mourning, talking about, well, tomorrow's another day and I will see him whenever. Well, that's the end of the movie, so we never knew what happened to Charlotte and Clark. Okay, Scarlett or Clark, we don't even know. But when we move on in our word of adieu, to me, when you are saying hello and goodbye to people, you also have an imagination of when you will see them again, when they leave, what they've left with you. Those are what you imagine things will be when you see them again, or you imagine what it was, or you can rethink what it was to have been with them, and you imagine that. So it says that when you imagine, it's going to basically form mental images of something or somebody that actually were present to a sense. Either you imagine that they were present or they're really present. Or you imagine the next time you see them, what it will be like. Will it be grand? Will it be, we're running in the fields, flowers to each other? Okay, a little dramatic. I just having fun this morning. But anyway, it says to imagine something. It says where you might be brainstorming, depicting an image. It might be an envision that you have. Might be something that you fabricated. It didn't you don't even you don't really expect it, but you're dreaming it anyway. Okay, it hasn't happened. It says it could be a brainstorm, could be something that you fancy, it could be a frame of mind, an idea of what you could think. It says it could be a feature. It could be something that they've shown you that you hope you see again. You're looking for it. It says it could be something that you fantasize. How many of us have had dreams and we wake up, what in the world was that? Okay. And I've had people tell me that before they had to say like a real goodbye to somebody, they had almost like a dream or a premonition that kind of set it up that they were going to have to say goodbye, and they were mourning the goodbye before it actually occurred. So sometimes that's how our lives go. We realize that we meet people for a short period of our time of our life, and even though they may have an indelible place in our mind and hearts forever, there won't be a second or a third or fourth time together. Sometimes we only meet people one time and that's it, but didn't mean they didn't leave an impression or we didn't impress them. It's just saying that we may not see them again. So it says that when we imagine things that have been, where we've had to say this I do, it says they become visualized. We put them in our head and they say there. Could be a scheme, never happened at all, but we're scheming it up. The next time it's going to be this, that, and the other. Maybe, maybe not. And it says it's something that we project, and it's something that we conceptualize. So we're just figuring out how it could be, how it should be, maybe even how it would be. We don't know. And then something, it says that when we imagine this person that we had to say goodbye to or adieu to, it says we harbor it, we hold on to it. Because sometimes they say memories have a tendency to keep us comfortable till we see somebody again. They just, satisfy us for now. It doesn't satisfy us forever, but it satisfies us for now. And sometimes that now may become what is future, that we don't see them, but there's always hope, which is that visual process there, that thinking, that longing, that caring. That's what it is. When we move on in our word of adieu, which means goodbye, there's an exit. People don't realize that when somebody says goodbye, that's an exit. For some people, it may be dramatic. I always used to hate to leave my daughter at the daycare center because she and I were very close. And, that thing would yell and scream and want to fall to the floor. And she'd be looking at them like they were crazy. But eventually, she was able to see that there were friends there, the other kids. And then it was like, yeah, see you, Mom. But we had to get to that place. So in the Exodus says a going out or away, a departure to make one's exit. And I think, parents go through that with their children are young and they first go to school. And then again, when they go to college or they go off to join the military, or they marry, all those kinds of things. All those things pretty much set the parents up for a change, and a change that they don't want to bid adieu to their children or their loved ones. They don't want to do it. So the exit is a demise, a departure. The exodus. It says it also is, once again, a farewell, a retreat, meaning they're backing out of being available to everybody. It says they're egress, and there's an expiration. So they're looking at the fact that What was there is no longer there. Who was there is no longer there. Even though we may have the remnants of somebody, like the love we have for them, the care, I mean, I have friends that I went to undergraduate school with, and I can hear from them, and we sound just like, laughing, rolling on the floor with information on each other that, we say, you remember that? But yet and still we don't see each other that often. But the original goodbye when we separated after college, those were tough. Those goodbyes are always tough. Those adieus, it's like, man, I don't know if I can get through that again. But you do, you do. And the last word I have is being unstuck. Like I always talk about, are you stuck? But this is getting unstuck. Sometimes we need to say goodbye to people and animals and whatever else comes in our lives because it's time. And it says it's to cause to become no longer stuck together, that there needs to be a separation. I come from a family of 10, and at times my mother could call every one of those names. You go there, you go there, you go there. She was just scattering us wherever, okay? Because she knew we were irritating each other and her. So she would just start separating. And the last four of us she would always call us in order: Shirley, Ronnie, Tommy, Sandra. And she always called us by our first name. So we knew we were in trouble. And so we were the ones that she called first because we were the smallest. The other ones, she just put them out because they were much older by the time we came along. So it would always be fun to watch whatever was going on. But when we're unstuck, it says we're loosened, we're loose, we're unbound. Think about it. When you say I do to somebody or goodbye, you're not bound any longer. Unrestricted, unrestrained, meaning I've had, clients when I was a counselor that were absolutely joyful when they were able to let go of, their jealousy, their constant worry about what someone else is doing. You can't control those things. What they do is what they do. What you do with it is how well you'll live. If you're going to be a person that's stuck to somebody's every minute of the day, then probably when you find freedom, you will probably relish in it. Only because everyone should be, moving on their own. And when they come together, that's what makes it special, but not that you're constantly stuck with each other. But it says unrestricted, unrestrained, unmatched, unfastened, detached. How many of us have been attached and then we get detached? Untethered. I always used to say that when I was younger, and I would see all of the special kids that were in classes together, and they always said, the teacher said, we have to almost tether them together so that we're able to keep track of all of what is going on. And I understood that, but untethered, that works for me. And then it talks about us being more open and available if we're able to say I do and move on. And sometimes we may cry our way through it. We may, write our way through it. We may walk our way out of it, but it's a process. The adieus, it's a process, and I think, as I said, anybody that's ever had, children leaving, husbands leaving, wives leaving, whatever happens, there is a transition that takes place of how you fit into being unstuck and how you really look at I do, because you may be the person that says I don't. I can't handle it. I cannot handle being without that other person. But sometimes that's the only way that you'll be able to find peace, is walking through it, getting on the other side of it. So then there's also unattached, and then unbarred. All those things, all these words on the the synonyms to unstuck pretty much speak to the freedom and the freeing that one has if they're going through the process of having to say I do to somebody, goodbye. You don't sometimes realize it because you're too close to it and too far into it when it first happens, but later on you realize the difference. You realize the difference, that life changes for us, even if we don't want it to change. We're not interested in the change. Change comes. you know the children will get older, the marriage may fall apart, the job is no longer worth the aggravation that you might be receiving. The dog is sick. All those things pretty much speak to that sometimes we have to say I do. So with that, I'm going to say I do, because I have some Juneteenth preparations to work on. I'm going to do a project with the Kukua Institute, and that would be Robin Richard, Lord Richard Jr., Eric Dozier, and myself are doing a production of some sort, and I believe it's music and a story that has been created from Robin looking up the history of that time period for a family. So we're going to be looking into doing that and working on that later on today. So I'm going to be doing that, and then also our choir is singing at Juneteenth on Saturday. So lovely stuff. Lots of things going on. And it says, recently lost a good friend, had to tell myself I was blessed to have known that. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think friendships and family ships, when you lose them, they're just tough. There's just no other way to put it. No other way. But the process says that if you stay around long enough, that you will be given peace. It's just difficult to say, but I know I've experienced it. All my sisters are gone now, so a lot of you are my sisters. A lot of you are my sisters, and I only have one brother left, and that's out of 10 kids. That's out of 10. I have one brother in California, but he's much older than I am. So he's pretty aged. He's more aging than I am. And, I don't get to see him very much. In fact, I haven't seen him since our mother passed. And so that's been 20 years. That's been 20 years. But they don't really do, the travel and stuff that they used to do. And so I get it. I really do get it. But yes, you are a sister. We are sisters. Absolutely. We are sisters. I love all of you guys that come in here. Ardelia, thank you. Cheryl, Gloria. And sometimes, for some reason, they got I think for those who came in later, they have a message on the Streamline platform that, Facebook is making a few changes. So I don't know if some people won't be able to get in now, but they will watch later. And so listen, you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Think about the adieus, the byes, the goodbyes that you've had to say. Think of them as joy for having known them, what Gloria said, but also look at the fact that you are a blessing to someone. Someone just loves your presence. I do. Every time I see any of you, I'm so excited to do that. But if you don't do anything else, you don't have to pay anything here. But if you'd like to hit that share button today and let people know that Winnie is out here just trying to make it a pleasant way to learn new information, understand the significance of words, and be able to have a conversation from a child to any most profound, prolific person alive. You can do it. All right. I'm going to see you soon. Thank you. Thank you. I love you too, Ardelia, with the hearts. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to see you all soon. I'll be back on Friday. Friday is Juneteenth, so it'll be a longer word. And we're going to think of some things surrounding that word. We're going to do that on Friday. Okay. Love you guys. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful. Bye-bye.